Hello students, welcome to BioSmart Academy. In today's lecture, we were going to discuss about a very important topic of the carbohydrate molecule. Okay, I already discussed the part 1 of the lecture of the carbohydrate molecule. If you not watched that lecture till now, then please go through this YouTube channel playlist page and you will find that lecture. Okay, so in today's lecture we were basically going to discuss about the most important topic of the carbohydrate molecule, and from this topic you will definitely get a question on CSIR, GATE, DBT or ICMR or any other examination. So this topic will be the most important topic of this carbohydrate lecture series, and in this topic we will going to discuss about the monosaccharide. Okay, monosaccharide, remember, monosaccharide is basically the most important part, or you can say the most important topic of this carbohydrate part, because in monosaccharide we will going to discuss about many things. First we will see first what we will going to discuss. Let's make a content. Okay, first we will discuss about the monosaccharide classification. Okay, first we will discuss about the monosaccharide classification. Secondly we will going to discuss about the enantiomer. Secondly we will going to discuss about the enantiomer. Third we will going to discuss about the epimer. Fourth we will going to discuss about the anomer, and last but not the least we will going to discuss about the mutarotation. Okay, mutarotation. So in today's lecture we will going to cover all this topic, that is monosaccharide classification, enantiomer, epimer, anomer and mutarotation. So all this lecture we will going to cover in today's lecture, and all these topics are very important from examination point of view. You will definitely get a question in examination either one of this topic. So please watch this lecture till end, because this lecture will be the most important lecture of this carbohydrate, one of the most important lecture of this carbohydrate lecture series, one of the most important lecture of this carbohydrate lecture series, and you will definitely get a question from this topic. So please watch this lecture till end and clear your ideas about all this topic. Okay, so let's start with monosaccharide. So first of all you should know that what is monosaccharide. Okay, so monosaccharide means what? Monosaccharide are basically polyhydroxyaldehyde or ketone. Okay, how polyhydroxyaldehyde or ketone? If you look at the structure of monosaccharide, okay, see, if you look at the structure of glucose, then you will get this definition. Okay, see, then you will get this definition. Okay, see, so this is a structure of the glucose. Okay, this is the structure of the glucose. Okay, so in this structure you will see that there are many hydroxyl group is present. See, so all these hydroxyl groups are present in this structure of the glucose. So that's why monosaccharide is basically known as polyhydroxy. Why polyhydroxy? Due to the presence of many hydroxyl group. Okay, so polyhydroxy. Now why it is aldehyde? Polyhydroxy, aldehyde or ketone? So why it is aldehyde or ketone? Aldehyde or ketone is basically dependent on the presence of the functional group. Okay, on the presence of the functional group. So in case of glucose, the functional group that is present is aldehyde. That is aldehyde. So that's why it is known as polyhydroxyaldehyde. But if you take the example of fructose, in that case the functional group will be ketone. So that's why it is known as polyhydroxyaldehyde or ketone. So now I hope that you get a clear idea about this line, that is monosaccharide consists of single polyhydroxy, aldehyde or ketone. Clear? Now the general formula is CnH2nON. So this is a general formula of the monosaccharide molecule or simple sugar molecule. Okay, clear? Now what is the characteristics of the monosaccharide? So the characteristics of monosaccharide, remember, it is basically colorless, crystalline and soluble in water. Clear? and insoluble in non-polar solvent. Insoluble in non-polar solvent. So this is the characteristics of monosaccharide. Okay, now let's move to the classification of the monosaccharide. Okay, first take the concept of classification. Okay, see, if we classified monosaccharide, okay, if we classified monosaccharide, okay, if we classified monosaccharide, so monosaccharide can be classified on two ways. Okay, first on the presence of number of carbon atom, first on the presence of number of carbon atoms, okay, it can be classified. And secondly, monosaccharide can be classified on the basis of the presence of functional group, on the basis of presence of functional group. Okay, if the number of carbon atom is 3, then it is known as trioses. If the number of carbon atom presents 4, then it is known as tetroses. If number of carbon atom is 5, then it is known as pentoses. And if the number of carbon atom is 6, then it is known as hexoses. So on the basis of presence of carbon atom, monosaccharide are classified in this way. And on the presence of functional group, monosaccharide can be classified either as aldehyde functional group or as ketone functional group. Okay, so in this way the monosaccharide is classified on the basis of presence of carbon atom or functional groups. Clear? If you have any doubt, then please comment. Now let's look at the structure. Okay, see, so in this structure you can find out that monosaccharide is classified on the basis of firstly presence of carbon atom, 3 carbon, 4 carbon, 5 carbon or 6 carbon, and also on the basis of presence of aldehyde group, that is aldoses. Okay, so in this picture you can see both of these, that is monosaccharide is classified according to the presence of number of carbon atom or the aldehyde group, that is the functional group is aldehyde. Okay, so the simplest monosaccharide, that is the 3 carbon monosaccharide with aldehyde group, is the D-glyceraldehyde. Okay, clear? 4 carbon, example erythrose. Just remember 2 to 3 examples, it will be okay. 5 carbon, example ribose, xylose, arabinose. Clear? 6 carbon, example glucose, mannose and galactose. Okay, remember all this structure which were basically under the box like this. Okay, remember. Okay, so in this structure you will find that monosaccharide are classified according to the presence of number of carbon atom and the presence of functional aldehyde group. Okay, so in this picture you can see that. Okay, now in this picture you can find out that monosaccharide can be classified according to the presence of number of carbon atom, that is 3 carbon, 4 carbon, 5 carbon or 6 carbon, and also the presence of the functional group, that is ketose. Okay, so here the functional group is ketose and the number of carbon atom is 3, 4, 5 and 6. So just look at these structures. So simplest monosaccharide with ketose functional group, give an example, dihydroxyacetone. Clear? So 4 carbon erythrulose, 5 carbon ribulose, xylulose and 6 carbon fructose, tagatose, all this. Just remember the name which is basically present under the box. Okay, so in this way monosaccharides are classified according to both the presence of number of carbon atom as well as both the presence of the number of carbon atom as well as the functional group. Monosaccharide can be classified. So this is the basically concept of monosaccharide and its classification. Monosaccharide and its classification according to the presence of number of carbon atom and functional group, either aldehyde or ketone. Okay, now I want to ask you a question. Okay, please comment me on the comment box. Give an example of monosaccharide which is the simplest monosaccharide and the ketone functional group is present. Okay, simplest monosaccharide with ketone functional group. Give an example. Please comment me on the comment box. Okay, now remember one point, asymmetric center. What is asymmetric center? Asymmetric center is this, that is the carbon with 4 different groups. Okay, that is the carbon with 4 different groups, that is the carbon with 4 different groups are asymmetric carbon. So this is the asymmetric carbon, that is the carbon having 4 different groups are known as asymmetric carbon. Clear? Okay, so in this figure you can see that in this structure you can see that the carbon is basically the asymmetric carbon. Why asymmetric carbon? Because it has 4 different groups: OH, H, aldehyde and hydroxyl, that is CH2OH group. Okay, so in this case the 4 different groups is present, that's why it is known as asymmetric carbon. And remember one point, those monosaccharides basically which show asymmetric carbon, okay, which shows asymmetric carbon have different optical isomers or known as enantiomer. Okay, so here one important point is there that is the monosaccharide except dihydroxyacetone contain one or more asymmetrical carbon atom, and does occur in optically active isomeric form. Okay, means dihydroxyacetone is the only monosaccharide. Except dihydroxyacetone is the only monosaccharide which does not contain asymmetric carbon. Okay, so give an example of monosaccharide which does not contain asymmetric carbon. Example, dihydroxyacetone. Okay, and apart from dihydroxyacetone, all the monosaccharide contain the asymmetric carbon. Why dihydroxyacetone does not contain asymmetric carbon? Just look at the structure of dihydroxyacetone. See, this is the structure. Here the 4th group is missing, and similarly the 2 groups are same. That's why dihydroxyacetone does not contain the chiral carbon or asymmetric carbon. This is the structure. See, this is the structure of dihydroxyacetone. So that's why dihydroxyacetone does not contain the chiral carbon or asymmetric carbon. See, now you can get an idea about this structure. Okay, now, and remember one point, the simplest aldose, that is glyceraldehyde, as I already teach you, contain one chiral center. As I already shown you that it contain one chiral center. Just look at this structure. Okay, just look at this structure. It contain one chiral center. Okay, see, sorry, it contain one chiral center. Okay, that is, this is a chiral center. Okay, 4 different groups. Where is the chiral center? This is the chiral center. Okay, that is N. Okay, so this is a chiral center and it is the simplest aldose, that is known as glyceraldehyde, as I already teach you. Okay, so therefore it has 2 different optical isomer. That is, it can form the mirror image of each other. Okay, and this is known as enantiomer, and on the basis of this can be named as either D-glyceraldehyde or L-glyceraldehyde. So how can you determine which is D and which is L? It is due to the presence of hydroxyl group. Okay, if you look at the structure of glyceraldehyde, in the first structure, in case of D-glyceraldehyde, the hydroxyl group is present on the right side. Okay, while in case of second picture, in case of L-glyceraldehyde, the hydroxyl group present on the L-glyceraldehyde. That is, L is for left and hydroxyl group is also present on the left side. That is L-glyceraldehyde. Okay, so this is a simple concept about the enantiomer. Just look at this. See, this is a simple concept. Okay, this is aldehyde group. Here the hydroxyl group is present where? Here the hydroxyl group is present on the right side. So it is known as D-glyceraldehyde. Okay, D-glyceraldehyde. I just write down the D. Okay, but in this case, if you look at the structure of glyceraldehyde, the hydroxyl group is present where? The hydroxyl group is present on the left side. That's why it is known as L-glyceraldehyde. So this concept is known as enantiomer. And enantiomer concept is basically, we can see in case of asymmetrical carbon or chiral carbon. Okay, and remember one point, chiral carbon also shows optical activity. I will teach you optical activity in our upcoming lectures. Okay, next, see, now how can we calculate the stereoisomers, number of stereoisomers? So basically, number of stereoisomers can be calculated on the basis of presence of chiral center. Okay, on the basis of presence of chiral center. For example, if we look at the structure of glyceraldehyde, see, this is a structure of glyceraldehyde. This is a structure of glyceraldehyde. That is, you can specifically say that this is a structure of D-glyceraldehyde. Okay, so in this structure, the number of chiral carbon is what? 1. So the formula for calculating an isomer, the formula for calculating stereoisomer is 2 to the power n. That is, n is what? 2 to the power 1. That is 2. So in case of glyceraldehyde, the number of stereoisomer is 2. Okay. Now if we look at the example of sorry. If we now look at the example of glucose, okay, glucose, just look at the example of glucose, okay, just look at the example of glucose, okay, see, this is a structure of glucose, okay, this is the structure of glucose, okay. If you look at the example of glucose, so in case of glucose, you will find how many chiral carbon? So in case of glucose, there are 4 chiral carbon, okay, there are 4 chiral carbon, 1, 2, 3 and 4. So in case of glucose, formula is what? 2 to the power n. It means what? How many chiral center? That is 4. That is 2 to the power 4. That is 16. So in case of glucose, the number of stereoisomers that will going to form is 16, while in case of glyceraldehyde, the number of stereoisomers that will going to form is 2. Okay. Now I hope that you got a clear idea about the calculation of stereoisomers. How can we calculate number of stereoisomers? Okay, that is, number of stereoisomers can be calculated by using the formula 2 to the power n. And what is n? N is the number of chiral carbon, 1, 2, 3, 4. In case of glucose, that is 2 to the power 4, that is 16. While in case of glyceraldehyde, that is 1 chiral carbon is present, that is 2 to the power 1, that is 2. Clear? Next, I make you clear all this thing by drawing a very simple structures. Okay, so I hope that you get a clear idea about all these things. So till now we cover monosaccharide, its classification, enantiomer, and how can we calculate the stereoisomers. Okay, now next, what is epimer? What is epimer? Okay, so epimer is nothing but, first look at the structure. See, you can see the structure of D-glucose. This is the structure of D-glucose. Clear? D-glucose. So this is the structure of D-mannose and this is the structure of D-glucose. Now you can find out that the structure of D-glucose, D-mannose and D-galactose is differing some point in carbon atom. Okay. Now this is the central structure of D-glucose. Okay. Now in case of D-mannose, the second carbon is somewhat different, that is, hydroxyl group is present on the left side. Okay, and in case of D-galactose, the fourth carbon is somewhat different than the D-glucose, that is, hydroxyl group is present on the left side. So these are the epimers, that is, sugar that differ only by stereochemistry at a single carbon other than anomeric carbon, called epimer. So what is anomeric carbon? We will look at the anomeric carbon after this topic, that is epimer. Okay, so that is differ only at the single carbon. So here in case of D-mannose, the single carbon is C2, that is here you can find out this, while in case of D-galactose, the single carbon is C4, that is here, C4, that is here, that is different than the D-glucose. So this is the structure of epimers. Okay, that is a different, that is, the structures are all same, but the different came only in the single carbon atom. In case of mannose, this carbon atom is 2, here it is different from glucose, and in case of galactose, the carbon atom is 4, here it is different from glucose. So in this way the epimers are basically occur. Okay, so basically, for example, D-glucose and D-mannose are differ only at carbon 2. As I shown you picture, D-mannose and D-glucose are differ only at carbon 2, while D-glucose and D-galactose are differ only at carbon 4. See, only at carbon 4. See, differ. So this is the apimer. Clear? I hope that you got a clear idea about the apimer. Next, cyclic structures. See, in my first lecture of the carbohydrate, that is part 1, if you not watch, then please watch that lecture. I discuss about the cyclic structure. What is cyclic structures? That is, cyclic structures basically represented by Haworth structure, Haworth formula. Haworth formula, okay. That is, we rotate the Fisher formula by converting it into cyclic structure. That is the Haworth formula, okay. So remember one point: cyclic structure can form only in case of those molecules which contain more than 4 carbon atom, that is 5 or 6. For example, cyclic structure can easily form in glucose molecule, okay. So this is the basically cyclic structure, okay. Now when we put this cyclic structure, the main important point is here that when we put this cyclic structure in aqueous solution, then via internal hemiacetal or hemiketal structure is formed, okay. Just look at this. So what is hemiacetal? See, when an aldehyde group, that is when a functional group aldehyde can react with alcohol, it form hemiacetal, okay. When aldehyde react with alcohol, it form a hemiacetal. And similarly, when ketone react with alcohol, it form hemiketal. So monosaccharide having 5 or 6 carbon, that in the chain gives cyclic structure in aqueous solution via internal hemiacetal or hemiketal formation. Now just look at the formula. See, this is the aldehyde group, this is the alcohol group, okay. Now this is the formation of hemiacetal, okay, and this is the keto group, this is the alcohol group. So this is the formation of hemiketal. Clear? So in this way, hemiacetal and hemiketal is formed, okay. So this is the concept. Now let's move to this next slide. Now 6-membered ring compounds, 6-member ring compound are called pyranose. Why 6-member ring structure are called pyranose? 6-member ring structure are called pyranose due to the similarity of the structure of the due to the similarity of the 6-member ring, that is compound pyran, it is known as pyranose, while 5-member are known as furanose, okay. Now if you look at the structure of aldohexose, that is the ring structure, I already teach you in the previous lecture. If you look at the structure of aldohexose, that is a ring structure, simple, nothing is present in this structure, okay. That is HOH, that is same, and this is the CH2OH, okay. So this is the ring structure, that is Haworth structure. So this structure resemble to this pyran structure. See, this is a structure of pyran. That's why that's why this aldohexose is known as pyranose. That's why this aldohexose is known as pyranose, because it resembles the structure of pyran. Okay, clear? So this is pyranose, okay. So here in this case you can see, okay, in this structure you can see that C1 glucose, that is aldehyde group, in the open chain form of glucose react with C5 hydroxyl group, okay. That is C1 glucose react with C5 glucose, okay, that is hydroxyl group, okay. That is aldehyde group is basically react with hydroxyl group, and here hemiacetal is formed. That is when aldehyde group, I already told you that when aldehyde is react with alcohol, hemiacetal is formed. Similarly here aldehyde is basically react with hydroxyl group, that is alcohol, so hemiacetal is formed, and the resulting cyclic hemiacetal is a 6-member ring called pyranose due to the similarity of pyran. Clear? So this is the figure. Now you will going to get a clear idea about the pyranose. See, this is the what? Fisher projection structures. Okay, this that is the linear structure of D-glucose. You can say this is a linear structure of D-glucose, and this is the aldehyde group, and this is the C5 carbon alcohol group, that is hydroxyl group, and this is the C1 carbon aldehyde group. Okay, now if we rotate this structure, like this, rotate, then we will going to get this Haworth structure, or you can say ring structure. And when we rotate, this C5 carbon is basically react with this aldehyde group. This C5 carbon is basically react with this aldehyde group. Now you will get understood. Okay, react with this aldehyde group, and due to this reaction, the pyranose structure is formed. Okay, pyranose structure is formed, and this pyranose structure can be alpha D pyranose or beta D glucopyranose. Why alpha and beta D? Alpha and beta are basically the anomer. Okay, what is anomer? What is anomeric carbon? C1 carbon is the anomeric carbon. Remember, C1 carbon is the anomeric carbon. Okay, here this is the anomeric carbon. Okay, and anomer means what? Alpha and beta. If hydroxyl group is present like this, that is lower side of the carbon, then it will this will going to form the alpha anomer. And if hydroxyl group is present on the upper side, that is going to give you beta anomer. Clear? So this is the concept. I hope that you get this concept. If you have any doubt, then please comment me on the comment box. I will make your doubt clear. Okay, next. Similarly, in case of ketohexose, for example fructose. Okay, for example fructose, remember fructose is the molecule which can form both pyran as well as furan structure. How? It basically depend on the keto group. When keto group, see this is the structure of fructose. If you draw the linear structure, that is CH2OH, that is the keto group is present at the C2 carbon, that is the C3 carbon OHH. Okay, this is the fourth carbon, that is HOH. This is the fifth carbon, that is HOH, and this is the last carbon, that is CH2OH. So this is the structure of what? This is the structure of fructose. So when this C2 carbon, okay, going to react with this C6 carbon, okay, then it will going to form pyranose. Okay, clear? And when this C2 carbon is going to react with this C5 carbon, then it going to form furanose. Clear? So in case of fructose, both pyranose as well as furanose structure can be formed. Okay, why furanose? Because furanose structure is similar to the compound furan. That's why it is known as furanose. Okay, so I hope that you get a clear idea about this. Okay, now next move to the next slide. Okay, now see, as I already discussed about the anomer, that if the hydroxyl group on the anomeric carbon, that is C1 carbon, is below the plane of ring, then it is said to be alpha position. See, this is the below the plane of the ring, hydroxyl group. C1 carbon is the anomeric carbon, hydroxyl group present below the ring. C1 carbon is the anomeric carbon, hydroxyl group present above the plane, above the ring. Okay, then this will form beta anomer. Okay, that is beta D glucopyranose and alpha D glucopyranose. So simply anomer are nothing but it is the alpha and beta. When it is basically present, when hydroxyl group is present below the, see, when hydroxyl group is present like this is alpha. Okay, and when hydroxyl group is present like this is beta. And this is alpha anomer. Okay, so this is alpha anomer and this is beta anomer, and it must be occur in the C1 carbon because C1 is the anomeric carbon. Okay, so clear? I hope that you get a clear idea about the anomer. So if you still have any question, then you may ask. Now you can see the structure of the anomer. See, in this case alpha D glucopyranose, what I teach, that in case of alpha, the hydroxyl group is present below the ring. See, this is the hydroxyl group, while in case of beta, the hydroxyl group is present in above the plane. Okay, so this is the hydroxyl group. So this is the beta anomer and this is the alpha anomer. Okay, now this is the structure of fructose. This is a furan ring. Okay, this is a furan ring. Okay, so this is the furan ring. So in this case, this is alpha because hydroxyl group is present like this, and this is beta because hydroxyl group is present like this. So this is the concept. So this is the concept, that is alpha and beta anomar. Okay, so I hope that you get the concepts about apimar, enantiomer and anomar. You will definitely get question from these topics. That's why if you even don't understand, then please repeat the video many times, then you will get a clear idea. Okay, and if you not understood till then you may comment me. Okay, now last topic, that is mutarotation. So what is mutarotation? Okay, so remember one point. First of all, before I teach mutarotation, just remember one concept. Okay, see one concept, remember. Okay, see, just look at the figure. Okay, see, just look at this ring figure. Okay, simple. This is the Paranose structure. Okay, this is the what, HOH. Okay, HOH CH2OH. Okay, it's clear. And this is another structure, this is another structure. Okay, this is another structure, OH H. Okay, so from this structure you can conclude, that this is alpha D glucose structure and this is beta D glucose structure. Clear? This is alpha D glucose structure and this is beta D glucose structure. Clear? In alpha D glucose structure, now if we make a equilibrium mixture of glucose, okay, now if we make an equilibrium mixture of glucose and it contains about 37% of alpha form and 63% of beta form. Okay, we make a mixture of glucose which contain 37% of alpha D glucose and 63% of beta D glucose. Okay, and less than 1% of open chain form, less than 1% of open chain form, less than 1% of open chain form. Okay, so less than 1% of open chain form. Okay, so the two anomers have different physical and chemical properties. Alpha have different chemical physical properties, or beta have different chemical physical properties. So in case of alpha, the rotation is about 112 degree. The rotation is about 112 degree. Okay, clear? While in case of beta, the rotation is about 19 degree. Okay, it is 112 degree, it is about 19 degree. Clear? So when either of this pure substance is dissolved in water, suppose we take these two substances, that is alpha D glucose and beta D glucose, and we dissolve these two substances in water. Okay, we put these two substances in water. Where we put these two substances in? Where? In water. Clear? Then what will happen? The optical rotation of the solution, slowly changes until it will change until it reaches an equilibrium value of rotation 52.7. Okay, so in aqueous solution, the interconversion of alpha and beta D glucose beta form via the open chain structure to give equilibrium mixture. That is, then this structure will be the form. See, this is the open structure. This structure will be the form. Okay, this is the open structure. This structure will going to form when we dissolve this molecule. Okay, when we dissolve this molecule. So this is the open structure. Okay, and this structure is known as D glucose. Okay, D glucose. So in aqueous solution, the interconversion of alpha and beta form via the open chain structure to give equilibrium mixture is known as mutarotation. So the concept that I teach in this figure, that is in this structure, is the concept of mutarotation. That is, when we take alpha D glucose and beta D glucose and we put it into the water, it will what happens? Slowly changes. That is, optical rotation is slowly changes until it reach this open chain structure, and its specific rotation is become 52.7 degree. Okay, so until it reach this structure. Okay, this structure, and this open structure is formed. So this is the concept of mutarotation, that is interconversion of alpha and beta chain via open chain structure. So this is the concept of mutarotation. So students, I hope that you get all the things clear in this lecture about epimer, anomer, enantiomer, mutarotation. If you have any doubt, please comment me on the comment box. Please see the video till end. Don't skip the video. Repeat the video if you don't understand anything, because I try my best to clear all these things. Okay, I hope that you get all the things clear in this lecture. Okay, we will meet in our next lecture of the carbohydrate. Till then, thank you.